Hello, everyone, and welcome to uh, Creating a New World. This is episode 44. Creating a New World is the show about the 12 Visions world, a world of wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom that you can help create. My name's Bill Hunsaker, and I'm your host. I'd like to welcome my co host, Harry Dolgen. Thank you for coming on the show, Harry.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations on episode 44, Bill.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll start with the first segment of the show, the 12 Visions World. Uh, Today we're going to talk about uh, entertainment in the 12 Visions world, and also just a little sneak peek for you during the next segment. We're going to talk or during this segment on creating the 12 Visions world, we're going to talk some specifics about how the 12 Visions Party is going to create the 12 Visions world. So I look forward to that. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first segment here, um, with reading of the 12 Visions. Vision 1, become the person you were meant to be. Vision 2, live the life you were meant to live. Vision 3, feel extraordinary. Vision 4, stop aging. Vision 5, get the job of your dreams. Vision 6, start the company you always wanted. Vision 7, embrace the lover of your fantasies.
Mhm.
Vision 8, diet down to the body you always envied. Vision 9, become a genius. Vision 10, surround yourself with geniuses. Vision 11, ride a prosperity wave that will make you a millionaire. Vision 12, enjoy perfect physical and mental health.
Wow, terrific. Boy,
Yep.
it sounds great. Boy, what a world that would be, huh?
Oh yeah. So as I said, the topic for tonight is going to be entertainment, and we'll be talking some specifics, but entertainment in general. We have discussed both television and sports in the past, and we'll touch on them lightly, but we'll also look at other things like movies, music, everything. Um, so basically, you know, unfortunately, right now in the anti-civilization, a lot of entertainment is focused on violence and death, and I don't think that will disappear entirely in the 12 Visions world, but I think it will be a lot less. Uh, I think all entertainment will be more toward focusing more on enjoying life and enhancing life, and you know, and doing what our purpose is, which is to prosper and live happily. And it'll be about those things rather than about death and violence and and everything that we have now. Um, uh, as I said in the previous show briefly, in sports, I think the more physical, violent sports will become less popular, and the sports that involve individual achievement will become more popular. Sports like golf, tennis, um, uh, those sort of things, you know. But sports like baseball, football, well, maybe not so much baseball, but football, ice hockey, all of those I think will become less popular because people will be less interested in the violence. And I also think things like auto racing will become less popular because, as we know, a lot of people watch auto racing because they're waiting for the crash.
Yep.
You know, because standard auto racing is actually pretty boring, at least in my
Yeah.
opinion. There's some excitement, people pass each other and all that, but most of the time it's just cars going around in a big circle. So, people are waiting for something exciting to happen. And
Right.
and you know, because it right now in the anti-civilization, entertainment is really all about stimulation.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, people working in miserable jobs and not happy. They haven't found their Friday night essence. They come home, eat dinner, and want to watch something exciting and
Right.
stimulating, and they put like a barrier around them in front of the TV. All right, and it excites them. Well, one thing you forgot to say: wrestling is scripted.
Oh
Okay, and
yeah.
people still watch it on TV
Oh yeah.
and think it's real and think it's real. Can you imagine that? They don't even realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, sports such as boxing. Um,
Well, that's not scripted, but yeah.
it's not scripted, but it's what I'm getting at is it's violent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And mixed martial arts and all those all these ultimate combat things. They I think they will become less popular.
Yeah.
Um, because people will be less interested in seeing people be hurt, or at least I think they will. There'll be a small portion that will still find that interesting and entertaining, but I think a majority of people, once they get into the neothink mentality and are thinking about life and protection of life and prospering and living happily, they'll have less of a desire to see violence and people getting hurt and those sort of things, even fictionalized, as in movies. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean nowadays the most popular movies are the ones with the most explosions and people getting hurt and death,
Oh, I agree.
unfortunately.
Right? They
Yeah.
they make movies out of. Remember in Boston, the marathon,
Oh yeah.
and those two guys that threw bombs there and people were hurt. They're
Yep.
doing move. They're portraying movies based on that.
Oh yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know, and people actually watch it. But the problem, I think, the problem is once people find their Friday night essence,
Hmm.
they'll they won't want to see violence that much. They'll be too
Right.
busy with the things they love to do.
They'll be
And
enjoying their
right,
life, and they
right,
won't, because what people use entertainment for now is an escape,
yes, absolutely,
escape from the burden of their life,
right.
of their boring job that
Stagnated
they
job.
hate.
Yeah,
Yep. And the relationship that isn't as good as it was 20 years ago, you know,
survival pressure.
because
Yeah,
yep, yep, and it's you know in the 12 visions world, you will be living the life you were meant to live, a downstream focused, uh, exciting, and that's where you'll get your excitement and stimulation.
you'll be living all those 11 visions probably, but not the fourth vision. Is it where you're stopping aging?
Right.
Cure for
And,
aging.
and
That's not going to happen yet.
once people start living that life, that exciting, stimulating, happy life, they won't want it to end. Now people, the burden of life becomes more and more oppressive every year in the present day in the anti-civilization, and you talk to them about living forever, and they're like, I don't want to live forever. This is horrible. You know.
We discussed that on you discussed that on a number of shows, right?
Hmm.
People
Hmm.
either they think they're going to go to a better place once they die,
Oh yeah, and that too.
right?
They've been sold this illusion,
Right.
which they've accepted, and they believe that they're gonna, that life is going to be better after they die. That's why most religions had to make suicide a sin
Hmm. Interesting.
and tell people, if you commit suicide, you're not going to go to that happy place. You're going to go to that other place that's not so happy.
With the one with the pitchfork,
Right,
the
and the
fire.
and the and the burning fire and the torture and all that. So they had to tell them
Yeah.
that, because everybody was like, "Oh, the next life is better. This life is horrible. I'm going to end it and go to the next life." And people were committing suicide in droves, and we can't have this. We're losing all our parishioners. We're losing all our income. You know, there are fewer and fewer people to put money in on the plate, when we pass it around,
Yeah, so suicide is a sin in the
Right.
Catholic religion, Protestant, and all that.
Most Christian religions,
But of
yes.
Judaism,
Suicide
I
is a
don't know
sin.
about. I'm Jewish, so
Right.
I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
if they say anything about, what
Mhm.
if you kill yourself, what happens. I'm not
Mhm.
too up on that. 'Cause
Mhm.
I'm more of an agnostic than an atheist. So, but I don't know. I don't know what that is. That
And as
makes,
people,
yeah,
yeah, people become more
yeah,
excited about life, you know, entertainment, fiction, movies, television. There'll be more and more about, stories about extending life and living longer and continuing to enjoy the wonderful life that you've discovered. Now, I'm getting closer and closer, and I've made some more strides recently in living the life that I want to live. And I'm starting to do things like take better care of myself, eat better, I'm exercising, and I'm starting to lose weight, and I'm feeling better physically. And all of this works together. I mean, basically, I was trying to eat myself to death before, to be honest about it, you know, and a lot of people do that, you know.
yeah.
For me, food was an
An
escape and
addiction.
an out is and
Yeah,
still
same
is an
here.
escape and an
Yeah,
outlet,
yep,
another form of stimulation.
yep.
And now I'm saying, look, you gotta, if you don't want to die like your father died, and I think we've talked about how my father passed away in the past. I've got to do something now. If I want to live longer than they did, and if they most of them didn't get very far in their 70s if they got that far. So,
Right.
and that was because they stopped taking care of themselves.
Yep.
They let their bodies just basically waste away until it couldn't support them anymore, and they died.
Yeah, because they're unhappy or
Right.
frustrated. The burden of
Hmm.
life. So the credo is live to eat. So up
Hmm.
on your refrigerator, everybody, put a
Right.
credo down. Eat to live,
Right.
and look at it every morning and before you go to bed. It might help get into
Right.
the
Right.
subconscious.
Yep.
You know.
So that, for me, entertainment, we talk about value reflection,
Hmm.
and entertainment's going to be part of value reflection, but you're not going to just go plop in front of the TV for entertainment. I mean, you're going to go do things with your loved ones and share those things. That's what value reflection is. You're going to enjoy the fruits of everything, of the prosperity that you're having because you're doing what you love. And you know and you're in a world where other people will like what you're producing or creating and be willing to share values with you, including sharing their entertainment. You know, we're moving in that direction now, but very slowly. Once we get into the 12 visions world, all of these things will move very fast. But even now, we're moving that way very slowly. People are sharing their creations, especially artistic music, writing, uh, even creating their own movies and shows and everything online. And it's a whole new avenue for this. And they've gotten away from what has become basically, the television wasteland, where you can't really do what you want creatively because the advertisers that support the show, say, no, you can't do that. We don't like this. You're not going to do that, and you can't really do what you want to do because they're there telling you, if you do that, then we're not gonna support your show anymore.
But I don't think you can entirely get rid of the stimulation you get from seeing a sporting event.
Oh no.
Like I go to a tennis match, and people go to football games and
Hmm.
baseball
Hmm.
games. So, and I don't think that's ever going to disappear.
No, it's not.
It might not be. You might not be going as much because you're getting your stimulation from other places, like from
Hmm.
your essence. But
Hmm.
we're not going to get rid of that entirely in the 12 visions world, right? You agree
Exactly.
with
And
that?
oh yeah, I agree with that. And but the things are good. change proportionally. Who are the heroes going to be in the 12 Visions world?
Mm,
Not so much, sports celebrities and entertainment celebrities, but more and more, you know, successful business people,
good point. I agree.
creators,
I agree with
honest business people who create honest values, and share them, including artistic creators and also, people that invent more, create more and more technology that protects us and makes our lives better. These are the people who are going to become heroes, and stories will be written about them, you know,
you. Good point.
and entertainment will center around that instead of around, sports or the last big tragedy, which is unfortunately what happens a lot today in the world we
With
live
the
in now.
plane going down in Egypt,
hmm
yeah, did they find the box? Do they
I
know if
don't
it was
I don't know. I haven't
terrorism or
I
not?
haven't been following it
Same
closely,
here.
and
60 people died. Yeah,
yeah, and it unfortunately the kind of world we live in, that's not that. We've become somewhat numb to that sort of thing
I
because it
agree.
happens not frequently, but it happens often enough that it's not even big news anymore.
And you say, thank God it's not you
Right.
or
And then
anybody
then
that
you
you
get on
know
with your life rather
or
than.
relatives or family or yeah,
I mean, unfortunately, today life is cheap.
yeah, yeah. Well, because it's a tough life. It's a tough world.
Yeah.
It's a very stressful world. Look what
Yep.
goes on. They blow up post offices, movie theaters. I mean, it's a very stressful life.
Yes, it is.
Despite what the politicians say, church leaders, it's a
Mm-hmm.
very, and again, you got to make the point where people have to become self leaders and question everything and stop being followers. There's
Right.
not enough
Right.
people doing that right now. You and me are questioning things, and we're a little better in that way. But most
Mm-hmm.
of the people in this world are followers,
Yes, they
right?
are.
And so, how do you reach them? How do you reach
All you
these
can
people?
do, you have to. Unfortunately, you can't, except for the very few. You can't reason with them. You can't
No,
share ideas logically.
especially politics. Oh
No,
man,
you have to stimulate them. Yeah, we
yeah.
have to we have to we have to outstimulate the anti-civilization, which is now, that, we have to get their attention by stimulating them rather than by trying to show
Convince
them,
them
you
that
know
this is a better
all
way to
we can
go.
do is tell
Yeah.
them how wonderful the 12 visions world is, you know, which will be a world of voluntarism, because people will be interacting with each other voluntarily instead of because they're forced to, because they have to work or they
It's
have to do
yeah.
this or they have to do that. They'll only interact with people they want to.
But if
You
you
know,
explain to people, Bill, that it doesn't mean it's anarchy where we're getting rid of government entirely. Because maybe people watching us or listening to us now might think that. We're not
well,
getting rid of government, we just have another purpose for government, right?
yes and no. What we're doing is because government is by definition force.
Right.
The way government is run, it has to be force. If you don't have force, you don't have a government. Because the only way the government can operate the way it does is by forcing people to comply, either
Comply.
by forcing them to give up their money or forcing them to do or not do certain things. That's the only way government works, is by forcing you. But in the 12 visions world, there won't be people forcing you, coercing you, taking your money, you know, saying give us your money or we'll lock you up, or you know there won't be that kind of thing in the 12 visions world. People will be producing values all across the spectrum, including protection, and people will voluntarily pay for those values because they value them and they want them.
Okay, but we still have a government in the 12 Visions world, right? Explain that to people. They serve one
Um,
purpose, right?
know that it won't be a government anymore because it won't be able to use force.
So it would it be
It will
called the 12
be
Visions world or what?
a business that provides protection
Okay.
that people pay for voluntarily, and we'll get into some detail in that in the next segment. But the
Okay.
basic idea is it'll be a business providing a protection service that people will pay for voluntarily, and also that other businesses that want to provide a protection service will be able to compete with. And
So what if,
therefore, when
yeah,
you have
I'm sorry.
competition, you'll get the best protection because they'll be trying to provide the best protection at the best price so that people will use their protection service. You know,
Okay.
unlike what we have now where they say here's the kind of protection we're going to provide whether you want it or not. And
Okay.
we're
So
going to
there's
make you pay for it whether you want to or not.
so government has no role in the 12 Visions world.
Not
But we still have
because
courts, we still have prisons, judges,
yes,
right?
but they will be different. They won't be the same. And you know, but we don't, the details will be worked out then. That's another thing, is that people who are like, how is this going to work?
Yeah, that's what I'm
How's
wondering
that
as
going to
well.
work? These are followers who are looking for a leader to tell them what to do and how
Yeah.
things are going to run instead of self leaders who are going to figure it out for themselves.
Tell everybody that term you used about there's three types of people in your
Certainly,
mind.
I'm happy to repeat that. And
Yeah.
that's a good way to end this segment. There's,
That
there,
boy was good for something.
and I've kind of altered it slightly, but only a little, because
Okay.
uh, I've talked to some other people, and they don't like the way I use the word leader in that context because they still have this idea of a leader as someone positive, whereas I see just a leader as in most cases negative, but that we still have this idea that leaders are positive. So
Yeah.
this is my slightly revised version, which is there are three kinds of people in the world. The first kind are followers who want to be told what to think or believe and do, rulers who want to tell people what to think or believe and do, and self leaders who don't want to be told what to think or believe and do and have no desire to tell people what to think or believe and do.
So both the follower and the ruler are dependent on each other.
Yes, a follower wants a ruler to tell them what to do, tell them what to think or believe and do, and a ruler wants followers, and they actually want more followers because the more followers they have, the better they feel to tell what to believe or think and do, and they look for ways, whether they do it consciously or subconsciously, to get more followers.
And 98% of the population, 98% of the world today in this anti-civilization is based on followers and rulers, no?
Yep, yep. I mean that's the alternate way I describe government. I mean, there is no government thing that you can point at and say that's government. It's
Okay.
it's a group of individuals who have assumed a position of authority and power,
Which we gave them, which the
and
people are
then
supposed
and
to
then
have given them.
another group of
Yeah.
individuals who have accepted their assumption of authority and power.
Okay.
So the people that have assumed the position of authority and power are the rulers, and the
Okay.
people that have accepted their assumption of a position of authority and power are the followers.
I like that. I like that. That's pretty neat.
And that's government. If the followers decided it, they no longer accepted the rulers' assumption of power and authority, then the rulers would be powerless.
I like that.
And yep. Okay, we're going to
I
move
didn't know if
on
you
to
heard.
the.
I put myself on mute because I had a
I heard
ringtone
a
in
noise. I didn't know whether it was here or
the
there.
background.
Yep.
I don't know if you heard it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I have a pacemaker, and that's the music my pacemaker makes.
Oh, there we
With
go.
the new technology, it's
Oh,
going to make
interesting.
music. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the next segment, which is where's the force? Uh, and let's see. Today's topic is going to be gardening.
What is it?
Gardening.
Gardening?
Tending a garden.
Tending a garden.
Growing plants and flowers and vegetables and gardening.
Well, I don't think, well, in somebody's backyard in a house, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the government buds into anybody like that. But I know on a bigger level, on a mass level, people who own farms, as a business, I'm sure they have a lot of regulations and restrictions when they produce their product and they have to put it in the marketplace to sell it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
regulations and all that on that. So I want to go with that.
Yeah.
Okay?
But also locally, they do have zoning laws, and you also have homeowners associations. And
Forgot.
because of the
Wait a minute.
zoning laws, you can't suddenly decide that you want to raise chickens in your backyard.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Yep, yep.
Interesting.
And because some homeowners associations think it looks bad when people, um, you know, do too much flower growing or have a huge garden in their backyard, so they restrict that. You know, and there's also even some local laws in some places, not around here that I'm aware of, but in some places, that say you can't have a garden in your front yard, or
Oh,
you
really?
can't. Yeah, there's a lot
That's
of
interesting.
rules and laws that affect, what you can do on your property. You know,
Hmm.
especially
Depending
things
on the
like
zoning.
if you want to do an addition to your house, or
Well, that I understand. Yeah,
if you want to
I
build
agree.
a shed in the backyard, even one of these cheap sheds that you just buy in the store in a box and put together, there are laws that restrict what you can do without going to the government and getting permission by getting a permit.
Yeah,
You know.
easements and
Hmm.
encroachments on someone else's property,
And if you're
like driveways bordering two houses.
right,
And
and if
somebody has to go over
mhm,
to their neighbor. Someone has to drive through their neighbor's property to get to their own property.
mhm,
So then, that has to be looked
mhm,
at by the government, and he
yeah,
has to get the permission to
and
be
if
able to
you
go over his neighbor's property. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah.
and if you've got a stream or a creek
Oh
or a
yeah, we
pond
discussed
going
that.
through your property, forget it. The EPA is going to say you can't do anything to alter that. That's a natural water, feature. You can't alter it. You know, so
Incredible.
over and over, and now the electric companies are trying to use the local government to restrict people's ability to put solar panels on their houses.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, it's competition. They're losing
Yeah,
money.
competition to them. They won't get as much money from for providing electricity for their customers if they're getting electricity directly from the sun. You
Wow.
know. Yep. So
Amazing.
in all these ways, you know, the government interferes with your ability to do things on what is supposedly your property. So,
I just think in this
including
world,
gardening.
you
Yep.
know what you should do? In this world, you just go into a forest where nobody knows where you are,
Hmm.
build yourself a log cabin, and live there. But you know what? Eventually, they'll have they'll have things coming over your log cabin, and the
Yeah, and you
government
better
will
make
get
sure.
wise to you. So
Yeah.
it won't matter.
And you better make sure you own that land and have a deed and it's free and clear. And
Isn't that something?
because if you just go anywhere, you're not a great percentage of the time, especially if you live out west. You're going to be
Yeah.
setting up your cabin on government land.
Yep.
And they'll just come in and kick you out when they find out you're there, because they'll
And
say,
we didn't have that in the 1900s. I mean, we didn't have that
right,
many years ago,
right.
right? I mean, it was never even questioned, right? What goes on nowadays, you know?
Yes. So everywhere you look in, when you're trying to do something on your own property, everywhere you look, the government interferes, and that includes gardening. They have
Wow.
limits on what you can do. You know that you have to do things a certain way, and then you have, in
Yeah.
addition to in local government, you have homeowners association, which includes things on what color you can paint your house.
Yep.
You know
Oh, I can tell you that. We're in a townhouse.
how
It
you
has
can
to be
change your
painted. The garage has to
windows.
be brown.
Right,
All
right,
the houses have to look the same.
right, right.
Incredible, right?
And how much you can change your windows, and what kind of roofing you can put on your house. So all of this stuff is limited either by the government or by the homeowner association.
And if
So
you have a window, if you have, one of in our townhouses, middle room upstairs is very warm,
hmm
and we want to put in an air conditioner.
right,
All right, just a portable air conditioner. Now,
right.
if we extend it out to the window, we're going to have to let the homeowners association know, and they're going to have to give us permission
Yeah,
to
they
do
got to
that.
give you permission. You got to
Can
get
you
permission from
imagine?
them on your own property. What to do with your own
On my own
property.
property.
Yep,
Yeah, the inside. Incredible. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's the world we live in, Bill.
yep. And
Very interesting. I
that's
wouldn't think
the
gardening, but gardening, I mean, that they soon they're going to have drones coming over
right.
by the gun. They're
And
going to be
and
looking with a TV camera inside
right
your
and
house.
right to see what you're doing inside. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
incredible.
With
Interesting.
special scopes that can look through your drapes and everything. You know,
Uh,
that's the kind of world we live in. It's a surveillance society.
that happens, I'm going to kill myself.
You,
And they'll
you're
even give
you're
my
you're
wife. They'll
assumed
find
to
my
be,
wife if I
yeah,
kill myself.
right, and you're assumed to be doing something wrong until you prove you're not. That's the world we live in.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, we're going
interesting.
to move on to the next segment, which is creating the 12 visions world.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, tonight we're going to do a special segment which I'm calling "How the 12 Visions Party is Going to Create the 12 Visions World."
I'd like to
Um,
hear about that.
I mean, the explanations we've given in the past, I think, have been oversimplified and don't show the true scope of what the 12 Visions Party is trying to accomplish. And I hope to at least give an idea of, the true scope of what they're trying to do, what the 12 Visions Party is trying to do tonight. So we'll go ahead and start this segment with the reading of the Prime Law. Go ahead,
Okay.
Harry.
My pleasure. This is something that I think about
hmm
before I go to bed. I think about. I read it to myself in my head. The
hmm
prime law, the fundamental of protection. Preamble. The purpose of human life is to prosper and live happily. The function of government is to provide the conditions that let individuals fulfill that purpose. The prime law guarantees those conditions by forbidding the use of initiatory force, fraud, or coercion by
hmm
any person or group against any individual property or contract. Wow. Article 1. No person, group of persons, or government shall initiate force, threat of force, or fraud against any individual self, property, or contract. Article 2. Force is morally and legally justified only for protection from those who violate Article 1. Article 3. No exceptions shall exist for Articles 1 and 2. And the prime law is the fundamental and natural law of protection that directs all decisions and activities of the 12 Visions Party. The prime law cannot be amended. And that's the prime law. Wow, is
hmm
that beautiful?
Yes, thank you.
8
And
sentences, right? 8 or 10 sentences.
hmm
So simple.
but the important thing to consider is that until people understand and accept the prime law, and make it a part of their lives, it's just words on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Well, you see the benefit. I see the
Yes, I see
benefit.
the benefit, but I also see that until enough people do see
Right.
the benefit, we're going to be fighting against you know
Laughed at.
difficult odds, which I'm going to
Laughed
get
at.
into. So let's start. Most of the time when we talk about the 12 Visions Party, we tend to focus on the 12 Visions president, like he's the beginning and the end. He or she is the person that's going to do everything and basically, you know, be like Moses and raise his hand on the government and instantly transform it into a business that's just going to provide protection uh, that people will pay for voluntarily. But
Mhm.
actually, there's so much more to it
Yeah.
that we may not even get through all of it tonight. And I am doing this on the top of my off the top of my head, so I'm not going to be talking facts and figures and numbers. I'm going to be talking generally, but still, I'm going to be talking about all the aspects of how we get from where we are now to where we want to be
Mhm.
in the 12 Visions world.
Mhm.
Now, the uh, the 12 Visions Party, what we're trying to do starts long before we have a 12 Visions president, and that's where we are now. Right now, the 12 Visions Party is planning and strategizing and gathering resources and organizing so that we can properly get the 12 Visions Party president elected. And to do that, we have to go through the political process, the election process. But right now, we're not anywhere near that point. We're still at the point where we're organizing and planning and gathering resources. And resources
Right.
include people, money, you know, all these things. But there's also another aspect to this. Anyone who's read the Miss Annabelle story knows that in addition to the president, the presidential candidate and that person's campaign, you also have the business alliance. And the purpose of the business alliance is to not only provide financial resources for the 12 Visions Party, but also to begin to outcompete businesses that support the government. And this is very important, because without them having that leverage, you know, that's, you know, that, and without them there competing with the businesses that support the government and that profit from the government, you know, without providing the same services that the government is providing, there's no way that we're going to convince people in general that what we're trying to do is better than what we have now. We have to demonstrate it. We have to have businesses out there that are providing the same services that the government provides them, and provides those services better and less expensively and voluntarily. You know, that people use their services because they like them and they want them, not because they're told, you know, we're the government and you have to use our services because we say so.
Right.
And that's where we are now, and we are nowhere near that, to be honest.
We're a movement. We're not a
Yeah,
party. We're a
but
grassroots movement.
yeah, we are a grassroots movement, and that's another part of this and an important part of this. But all these other parts have to be in place in order for the 12 Visions Party to succeed
Yeah.
in its purpose, which is to depoliticize America, to transform the government into a business that only provides a protection service that people pay for because they want to, not because they're being forced to. which
That's
is
why
what
you
we
would.
have now.
That's why you need more people finding their Friday night essence and doing a business from it and getting
Hmm.
rid of their stagnant jobs at work.
Right,
Once that happens,
and
we can move forward.
prospering, and therefore outcompeting
Absolutely.
the people that uh, support and want to stay with the world that we have now. We have to show people in general that, you know, that what we're talking about is better, that people can succeed, that people can be happy, people can enjoy their lives. We have to demonstrate that now, show people that now. We can't keep just talking about it. That's very important. So we need, to me, because of this, the Neothink Society is more important than ever.
Yeah. You know my
Because,
concern, Bill? I have a concern. It's what you mentioned before. You can't change the government from inside out. And unfortunately, they're so powerful and have so much clout that any attempt to do, to start this thing, they're going to make all attempts to get rid of us. You
and
know what I mean?
that's why the business alliance is so important,
Okay.
because that will give the 12 Visions Party the clout to do to fulfill its purpose. Because basically, if you get if you have businesses providing the same services, but the businesses that support the government, you know, well, the neo think businesses will will provide the same services, better services and goods, and less expensive. And that's the whole point. We have, like I said, we have to demonstrate that this works, that, and that it will provide a better life for people than the life we have now under the government.
Yeah. Yeah.
That with the government having assumed a monopoly on so many services, providing energy, ensuring that the food you get is good, and healthy and nutritious, which it's not doing that great a job of, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it has
I
assumed a
agree.
monopoly on doing that,
Yep.
and providing all of the services and goods that people want and need, better goods and services, and less expensive. So we have to demonstrate that. We can't keep just saying it'll be better in the future. We have to show it now.
And
Because
each
if
one
we
of us
continue
has to.
and we all have to start working and thinking and moving toward, providing services and goods that outcompete the ones that the businesses and groups of people that support the government are providing now, and that the government is providing now. We have to do that now to demonstrate that what we're talking about is valid and is going to improve people's lives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where we are now, and that's, and until we start doing that a lot more, we're going to continue to be ignored,
Yeah. Well, I
and
think it's a
and we'll
step in
never
the right
fulfill our
direction.
purpose. We're moving in the right direction,
The
but
fact that Trump,
but
Trump, I
bef-
know he's a dishonest businessman, as we call it, but you know what?
mhm.
He's opening the doors to our movement, I think, you know? Because if he gets in, maybe he hires other businessmen in government positions. So that's a step in the right direction, I think. I don't know. What
Yeah,
do you
but
feel about that?
there are many steps there, and not all of them are in the right direction. But
Okay.
that's a
Okay.
subject we could get sidetracked on
Yeah, I
and
know.
really
I know.
really
That
go.
came to my mind.
So
Yeah.
once all this is in place,
Yeah.
the business alliance, Neothink businesses that are out competing the businesses in the world we live in now, the businesses that support the government and will want to keep the government in place because they can use their influence on congressmen and everyone that they've helped to get elected
Yeah.
to give them advantages in the business world. And we have to show that even with them having those advantages that the government is giving them, that we can still outcompete them and provide better goods and services for a lower price and still prosper and make a profit. So that's where we are now. We're building that right now.
Yeah.
But until we build more of that so that it becomes visible, so that, you know, you look in Business Week or any other business newspaper or Wall Street, the Wall Street Journal, or any business newspaper, and you start seeing these articles that say, look at these neothink businesses in whatever form. It may not be in those specific terms, but look at how they're providing better services and products and at a lower price and still growing and making a profit, and people seeing that, and you know, so we need that, and we don't have that now. That's still being built, and until it is, any attempt to elect a 12 Visions Party president, well, let me put it this way, it's going to be very difficult. Now we get all that in place, people start seeing, you know, neothink businesses, they're prospering, they're providing great products, they're providing them inexpensively. Then we can start talking about, you know, here's your 12 Visions Party presidential candidate who's going to remove and transform the government so that it's no longer a coercive ruling group of coercive people who are ruling over us, and becomes a business that's providing a service that we want to pay for. And that, you know, until we have the examples of neothink businesses more and more that are in all areas, in all industries, all, you know, all areas that are prospering by using the neothink business system and providing valuable products and services that people want at lower prices than the businesses that exist now, people aren't going to listen, even if you got a president going around the country to saying how great the 12 Visions world is. People aren't going to listen. So we have to demonstrate that. We have some examples that are happening, but few and far between right now, and that has to build. And then once we get to that point, then we have momentum and we have resources and support, but still it's going to be a huge job. Even if we get the 12 Visions Party presidential candidate on the ballot everywhere, and he starts going around and starts pointing to these neothink businesses and see this is what we can have in the future everywhere, you know, and talks about converting the government from what it is now to a you know, basically a system that assumes a monopoly and forces you to pay for whatever products it decides and services it decides to give you, forces you to pay, takes your money whether you want to pay or not, whether you want their services and goods or like them or don't like them, you still have to pay, and convert that to a business that's providing us only the service of protection, which is its only valid purpose, but that you voluntarily pay for. So we get the president, we get him on the ballot, he goes around, people start to like him, they're still going to use every dirty trick they can think of to keep him from getting elected, first of all.
Right. Don't we have to build up, Bill? Don't we have to build us up from the local level, district positions, before we ever encounter having a 12 Visions president?
Well, that's the thing, because if we really do it that way, if we do it like most political parties start and go, it'll be 100 years before we have a 12 Visions Party presidential candidate. Because, you know, we're talking about getting people elected on the local level, then getting them elected on the state level, then getting them elected on the national level. You know, congressmen and senators and members of the state legislature, all of this. This is huge. And we haven't even gotten to where, but we if we don't want to wait 100 years for that to happen, then we have to do it differently. We can't do it the same way. So that's why we need the Neothink Business Alliance, the businesses who will show, that that using the principles of the 12 Visions world, you can create a business that can prosper and profit and still provide great good or services, great product or service at a great price that people can afford. Until that's demonstrated, people are going to listen to you because all you're doing is talking about something that's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're not going to believe you.
Yeah.
We have to demonstrate it now.
Good point.
So
how do we go about doing all that? I mean, what's our role?
What I'm saying.
What's each of our jobs?
And that's why the Neothink Society is important, because it's helping people learn that the Neothink mindset, the way of finding out what your passion is, and then a way of living that passion and creating values or producing values and marketing them and making a profit and prospering because of that.
Yeah.
And we have to have more and more people doing that.
Yeah.
Right. And so we get to the point where we have a 12 Visions Party presidential candidate. He starts going around talking to people, and then he has something to point to. Look at all these businesses that are prospering, that are and providing great products and services at lower prices than these other businesses that are still doing it the old way, And but even then, it's still going to be an uphill climb, and it's going to be very difficult. And that's why I'm saying this is a huge thing. We talk about it like it's something very simple. It's just going to happen,
No.
And it's not. It's going to take all this effort. It's going to take people. It's going to take money. It's going to take time. And, and then once we have a candidate and he goes around and he starts getting popular, he starts showing in the polls, they're going to use every dirty trick they can to discredit him.
The corporations, the lobbyists,
and the politicians,
the power elite, yeah.
Who will see him as a threat to their position of power and authority and prosperity.
Absolutely.
And no matter how dishonestly and immorally derived, they're still going to see him as a threat, and they're going to do everything they can think of to stop him. Now,
discredit us, yeah.
Discredit him. And then, when he gets elected, and that because of all this, everyone will be combining, the Democrats, the Republicans, even like the Greens and the Constitution Party, and even the Libertarians are all going to be trying to discredit him and stop him, because they'll all see a threat to what they're trying to do. So he gets into office, and they're still going to try to stop him.
Yep.
This person is going to have the best security ever devised. We're not going to be able to rely on the Secret Service to protect the president if it's a 12 Visions Party president, because everybody's going to be gunning for him. Yep. Plain and simple.
Oh, I agree.
So he has to have the best security. He gets into office. The first thing he does is sits down with the help of many people. He doesn't do it by himself. He sits down and writes the protection-only budget, which basically eliminates everything but protection. And right now, unfortunately, because we will still be one country with a 12 Visions Party leader in a world of all, force-backed governments, we'll still need protection from outside.
Yeah, they'll be gunning for us. Yep.
Yep, because they'll be saying, oh, that now they're weak, that we can invade and take over, So one of the things the president's going to do is the commander in chief is going to be recall all of the armed forces back to the U.S. I mean, right now we have hundreds of bases in many countries all over the world, and people don't like it. We wouldn't like it if other countries had bases in our country. You know, they don't like it, and that's part of the problem why Americans are hated all over the world, because we basically occupied all these countries. But that's beside the point. The point is the president will recall all of those armed forces, except for forces that are protecting our embassies around the world. But all the other forces that are just on bases here to protect the country, and will change their purpose. Right now, it'll be to protect the people, the citizens. It won't be to protect the national interest. It won't be to protect, those things. It'll be to protect the people from the danger without. And so he does all this. He writes the protection-only budget. He submits to the Congress. The first thing they're going to do is they're all going to be on the news saying he's destroying the country. He's ruining everything. He's taking bread out of the mouths of babes, and all this, to discredit what he's trying to do.
You take the facts all out of proportion.
Oh yeah, and out of context and all of that, and then they're going to sit down and they're going to put a lot of the stuff that he takes out back in. But they're not going to be able to sit there and put everything back, because the mere fact that he was elected shows that he has political power.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay attention to that, because that's what they pay attention to.
Yeah. So all these non sequiturs and.
So some of the changes and reductions that he's trying to do are going to get through, and that will result in more prosperity, and things will be better for people across the country. And the president will be right there saying, look, all of this stuff that's better is because of what I'm trying to do, but it's not as much better as I promised when you elected me, because they're insisting on keeping things the old way and they're messing it up.
Wow. The lofty goal, Bill.
Yep.
The lofty goal. Oh.
Yep. So, and it's going to continue like that. And as I kind of thought, this was going to be a bigger subject than we could cover in one segment.
Yeah, it's getting late. Yeah, I think.
So we're going to cut it off here.
Okay.
And we're going to pick it up in the next episode of the show.
Great information.
Continue this, because we're going to go all the way to the end of the 12 Visions Party president's second term. And by then, we should have the 12 Visions world. And a lot of this is from the Miss Annabelle story, but also I'm trying to integrate and incorporate the reality that we live in now, as opposed to the reality that Mark Hamilton saw when he wrote the Miss Annabelle story. Because they aren't exactly the same.
No.
And in the intervening 20, 30 years, things have changed also. So that's where we are. So we're going to go ahead and wrap that up, and we're going to quickly go on to the next segment, and we're going to continue that discussion in the next show. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is how you can help create the 12 Visions world. And actually, I'm going to talk about a few different things than I have up to this point. To me now, the most important thing you can do, if you like what we're talking about and you agree with it, the most important thing you can do is tell other people about it.
Especially
that's the most important thing. And if you're not involved with the Neothink Society, get involved with the Neothink Society. This is the most important thing, because as I said, the most important thing now is for people to learn the Neothink business system, the Neothink mindset, and get out there and start creating businesses that provide better products and services at a lower cost and still profit and prosper. Because we need those examples to show what the 12 Visions world, what it will be like for everyone. So we need that. So that's, to me, that's more important than getting involved with the 12 Visions Party, especially right now. But if you still have a desire to be involved in the 12 Visions Party, go for it. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying that not everyone has that desire. And if you don't, the best thing you can do is to get involved with the Neothink Society and learn how to prosper and live happily yourself, and how to create your own little version of the 12 Visions world for yourself and your family and the people you care about.
Okay. How do the
And
people get involved with the movement, Bill?
but if you wish to get involved with the 12 Visions Party, you go to the site tvpnc.org, and there's a place there where it says volunteer, and you fill out the form, give them your contact information, and they'll put you in touch with people. But more importantly, you want to get involved with the Neothink Society, and in order to do that, you have to. I think the best place to go for that is they have a free open call that a free open conference call that anybody can listen to, and it's on Wednesday nights. And I'm gonna include the information on that call in the show notes for the show. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but I will have it for future episodes and have that information available, because they give all the information about how you can become involved with the Neothink Society.
You want me to give a phone number, Bill, or you
Yes,
want?
that would be helpful in and of itself. But I'm going to plan better for the next episode and future
Okay.
episodes. So
I can
have
give the
this
phone
information.
number.
Yep.
Okay. It's called News and Update Show.
When
with
does it
Charlie
start
Ford.
on Wednesday? When does
And
it
it
start on
starts
Wednesday?
Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
to 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the phone number is 206 area code 402-0100, and then you have to dial a PIN number. The PIN number is 256015 pound,
Mm-hmm.
and that's you can participate. You can just listen.
Yeah, and you can learn how to become involved in the Neothink Society, and how to learn about the Neothink business system and the Neothink mindset, which will help you improve your life. It's helped me improve my life, and help you get into a business that you love and enjoy and want to do, and thereby prosper and profit from that business.
Let me just
and live a
repeat the
better
number.
life. Go
Bill,
right
let me
ahead.
just repeat it. All right?
right ahead.
Because I kind of said it fast.
Mhm.
The phone number, it's Wednesday night. It's called the News and Update Show. Area code 206-402-0100. From that menu, you'll be
Mhm.
asked to put a PIN number in, and you just press 256015 pound, and it will connect you to the show.
Mm-hmm. And there you'll learn about how to become involved with the Neothink Society, and how to learn how to make your life better, and how to make, by making your life better, make the world a little better, and how to create a small piece of the 12 Visions world for yourself and your family and your loved ones.
I agree.
So on that note, and because I didn't prepare it, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up. And we're going to go ahead and end this show at this point. I want to thank you, Harry, for coming on and discussing this with me. I think we have had an excellent show this evening. And
went too fast, Bill.
Oh, yeah, it just flew by, because I think I'm really enthusiastic about the direction I'm taking.
Oh, it shows. It shows in your voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I am fascinated listening to you.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close the show now. I want to thank everyone who watched the show live, and also those who watch the recording later. I do want to mention that I'm still in the process of converting the show into a podcast, which will be available a lot of the places where you get podcasts, and you'll be able to listen to it on your music device, whatever it is. So I will make announcements in the future as that comes closer and closer to a reality. If you have any questions, please send them to cnwshow@gmail.com. You can view previous episodes at www.tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com. Also, to ask questions and provide comments and feedback, you can like us on Facebook or join our Google Plus community. Both of those are CNW Show. Just search for those in those places, and you can become involved there. Ask your questions, give us feedback, tell us what you think about the show. You can support the show by telling your family and friends about it. You can also support the show by going to www.patreon.com/creatinganewworld and pledging $1 or more an episode, and that would be greatly appreciated. All opinions expressed on the show are the sole responsibility of the individual participants and do not represent the Neothink Society, the 12 Visions Party, or author Mark Hamilton. Creating a New World is a production of Integrated Values, LLC. I wish everyone wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom.
So long, everybody.